Let's talk about milk. It's the most universal food there is. It's available most everywhere. It's healthful, has a lot of varieties, and it also generates the most questions on my YouTube of any food that there is. There's several different types of it, which is what's caused the confusion. And we'll talk about all of it today. First, let's talk about the four basic types of milk. Here's powdered milk. It's simply milk that's had all the water removed from it and powdered. And you mix it with water to produce fresh milk. It has to be refrigerated just like regular milk does. But and it doesn't have nearly as good a flavor as this milk here, but it is something that you can have anywhere on camping trips where refrigeration isn't available and things like that. It's also used in mixes like cake mixes, pancake mixes, and things like that, where you just add water instead of milk. The second type is the kind you find in your dairy case. It needs to be refrigerated. It's always pasteurized in the U.S. In fact, it's illegal to sell fresh, raw milk retail. About the only way you can get that is if you know somebody that has a milk cow or dairy, or you have a place where you can go. It's a very inexpensive food, and it's available everywhere. Next to it is evaporated milk. Now this is shelf life of about a year. Part of the water has been removed from it, but other than that, it's basically milk with less water or liquid in it. If you want to add an equal size can of water to it, you have roughly the same thing as skim milk here. The other is the most misunderstood, is condensed milk. Now, everybody says, well, what's the difference in evaporated and condensed? Well, it's a big difference. First, condensed milk is used basically for cooking and candies and things like that. And it has a large amount of sugar in it already mixed in with it. And in fact, if you want to make coconut macaroons, a can of this, about a half-pound package of coconut, a teaspoon or a tablespoon of flour mixed in, roll it into balls and bake it, and it makes coconut macaroons. It's one of the easiest candies there is to make. So each one has its own purpose. Now there is one other form of fresh milk that you can't find in the U.S. because it's against the law to sell it here. It's irradiated milk. And when it first came out, well, the dairy industry just went crazy about trying to convince everybody how it would make them glow in the dark and water, all the crazy stories about it. But it does not have to be refrigerated. It's basically milk like this that's been irradiated to kill the enzymes in it that cause it to spoil. It comes in boxes about this size here. This is chicken stock. I didn't have any irradiated milk to show you, but it comes in a box about like this with a screw cap. It can be kept on store shelves. It can be kept in the home with no refrigeration, and it's basically the same thing as this. You can drink it, you can cook with it, or anything like that. It's very popular with survivalists, and it even more popular than the powdered milk. In fresh milk, it goes all the way from full fat milk, which is around 5% milk fat, all the way to skim milk, 4 or 5 different levels. This right here is 2% fat, which is probably the most popular. It has enough fat in it to give it the good taste, yet it's less than half the fat of whole milk. And that's done by removing the fat from it, which of course is then turned into butter. Now let's talk about these two cans here. This milk here, the evaporated milk, is especially well suited for baby formulas. You use that, mix about half water with it, and it keeps well on the shelf, but it does need to be refrigerated when opened. And I said about this is used for baking and pies. In fact, this has a perfect pumpkin pie recipe on it. It doesn't say how you make the pumpkin pie on here, but it has milk and sugar, and that's the only two things it has in it. And it's has the water reduced in it to about the same level of this, a little bit more. This can contains as much milk as this one. The only difference is the amount of water. But then this one has almost an equal amount of sugar to the amount of milk. So whenever something calls for milk, it usually spells out what type. And if it says condensed milk, it's this. Eagle brand is the most popular brand. It has been for years, made by Borden. You now find other brands on the store shelves. And this used to be Incarnation, was the most popular brand. Now it's everything. This is Walmart Great Label. It's cheaper. Same thing, basically. Probably put up by the same company that puts up the Carnation milk. So I hope that I've answered a few milk questions for you, and let's go out and make something with milk.